Warm greetings. Welcome once again to our course on self-knowledge. Today we'll explore a fundamental topic, concentration and relaxation. In this session, we'll learn how to develop a powerful inner capacity, the ability to focus our consciousness so that it can express itself more clearly in daily life. This inner power is essential not only for achieving success in the things we set out to do, but most importantly, for succeeding in the practices that help us awaken our consciousness. We'll also discover what true relaxation is, how to apply it effectively, and we'll be introduced to a specific practice of concentration known as watching and praying. Let's begin by asking, what is concentration? The very word concentration tells us that consciousness is being centered on an action. You are concentrated when your full attention is focused on what you're doing. In that state, you carry out each action consciously, meaning it is the conscious part of you that is truly engaged in the activity. Concentration is a powerful force. It's what allows us to succeed in whatever we do. When we lack concentration, mistakes become frequent, and things often don't turn out the way we intend. It's also one of the main reasons we feel like there isn't enough time to complete our daily tasks, because distraction wastes a significant amount of time. Moreover, distraction can cause accidents, and it's often the reason why important practices like meditation, astral projection, or sexual alchemy fail to produce real results. We must begin by understanding this key truth. As long as we remain distracted, our consciousness cannot express itself within us. Concentration belongs to consciousness. Distraction, on the other hand, comes from the ego. But because we've spent most of our lives being distracted, true concentration often feels dull or tedious. That's because the ego resists it. Concentration brings us into the present moment, and in that moment, only the consciousness can act. The ego loses its ground. So if we take the time to study distraction deeply, we will naturally arrive at concentration. By observing every little thing that pulls us out of the present moment, every element that draws us away from the here and now, and eliminating these distractions, will gradually enter a state of continuous concentration. That means more and more of our consciousness will be rescued and allowed to manifest within us. Now, we often confuse distraction with concentration. For instance, we may think we're deeply focused while playing a video game or working on a computer report. But if we observed ourselves honestly in those moments, we'd likely realize just how distracted we really are. In such situations, we tend to forget ourselves completely. We're flooded with emotions, physical tensions, sensations, and a stream of mechanical thoughts. That's not true concentration. To be truly focused on an action, we need to be aware, alert, and present. We must feel ourselves inside our body, feel our heart, feel life within us, and from that place of self-awareness, carry out the action that needs to be done. We must do what we've set out to do, but without letting the ego participate, without letting the mind drift off into thoughts, without letting tensions or emotional reactions pull us away, whether pleasant or unpleasant. And most importantly, we must silence the constant inner chatter that fills the mind. In that state of inner stillness and full presence, we can perform any task with real concentration and achieve success in it. So let's ask ourselves, how can we achieve true concentration? To reach a state of concentration, we must make conscious efforts to observe ourselves at all times, detecting and eliminating anything that tries to pull us into distraction. For any task we take on, we should strive to maintain a single, focused thought, concentrating fully on what we are doing without allowing the mind to drift into unrelated thoughts. At the same time, all our energy centers must work together in harmony, fully aligned with the action at hand. The emotional center should generate the appropriate mood to carry out the activity. This means we must not allow our emotions to wander into worries, fears, likes, or dislikes. We must keep our emotional energy calm and directed. The motor center must remain focused solely on the action we're performing, without jumping impulsively from one activity to another. If we hold ourselves in that state of presence and inner control, the instinctive center will begin to perceive the deeper meaning behind what we're doing. From there, inspiration will arise from the higher emotional center, and we'll begin to genuinely enjoy the activity or practice we're engaged in. The sexual center will contribute its creative energy, and the wisdom of our consciousness, flowing through the higher intellectual center, will begin to manifest. Consciousness knows everything and does everything perfectly. Our task is to discover the joy of being present, focused, and awake, allowing our consciousness to guide every action we take. To achieve this, we must wage a battle against the psychological defects that distract us and keep us in a state of sleep. We must call upon our particular Divine Mother and ask her to disintegrate every defect that pulls us into distraction. There are two types of concentration, one directed toward the inner world and the other toward the external world. Both are essential. However, in order to act with true concentration in the external world, we must first learn to sustain inner concentration, the ability to remain present, to keep our consciousness awake, and to avoid mental wandering. This means learning to remember ourselves continuously. Just as it's important to be concentrated in our daily tasks, to avoid mistakes, prevent accidents, and succeed in what we do, it is equally vital to develop concentration for our esoteric practices. Practices such as meditation, astral projection, retrospection, the negotiation of karma, and suprasexuality all require deep inner focus in order to yield real, transformative results. Now let's go over a few key points to keep in mind when practicing concentration. First of all, always make a conscious effort to do one thing at a time, and while you're doing it, keep your mind entirely focused on that task. Don't let it wander to anything else. As much as possible, avoid interrupting what you're doing to switch to something else. Stay with the action until it's complete. Avoid thinking about what you have to do later. Those thoughts pull you out of the present and unnecessarily project you into the future. Likewise, avoid dwelling on things that have already happened. They drag you into the past and take you away from the here and now. Instead, keep your attention fully focused on what you're doing in the present moment. If we apply this principle to everything we do throughout the day, we'll stay in a state of alert presence. Our consciousness will be able to express itself in each activity and will make great progress in the work of psychological death and the balancing of our energy centers. By being present, we'll be able to observe and eliminate the many psychological defects that arise in us daily. In doing so, we will be freeing large amounts of consciousness, little by little, every single day. If we take a closer look at the many activities we carry out each day, we'll notice that each of them are done mechanically. While performing them, we're mentally and emotionally elsewhere, not truly living the moment, but thinking about something completely different. We wake up in the morning, and immediately the nonstop train of thoughts and emotions begins. From the moment we open our eyes, we're already planning, worrying, or reaching for our phone in search of distraction. We brush our teeth, but our mind is already somewhere else. And this continues all day long. We're doing things, but our attention is far away. As a result, we carry out actions mechanically, completely distracted. We don't observe ourselves from moment to moment. And this lack of observation means our consciousness remains asleep, simply because we don't use it. We live our lives with a sleeping consciousness, and that's why we're unable to truly discover ourselves, to truly know who we are. That's why we can't clearly see or eliminate our psychological defects, our egos. Because we're constantly distracted, we fail to notice how many egos intervene mechanically in everything we do. The ego strategy is always the same. It keeps us distracted, endlessly thinking, engaging in inner chatter, replaying mental music, or worrying about things that haven't even happened. To help us carry out our daily activities with concentration, it is highly recommended to take a few minutes each day to create an activity schedule. A simple plan listing the things we need to do, along with the order or time at which we'll do them. This practice allows us to avoid having to plan on the go or constantly think about what's coming next. Instead, we can give our full attention to each action in its proper moment, staying present and focused. We'll also begin to notice that, when we're organized, we actually have enough time to accomplish everything we need to do. It's especially important to give priority in our schedule to the practices that help us awaken our consciousness. If we postpone these inner practices until we have time, or if we always give precedence to things related to the personality, we'll quickly find that these external concerns take over our entire day. But with a clear structure and daily plan, we can approach each task with real concentration, staying centered in the present moment, living each action with awareness, and continuously eliminating whatever tries to pull us out of that focused state. If we put this into practice, if we make a constant effort to stay focused and present, we'll soon notice a powerful improvement in all our practices aimed at awakening consciousness, especially in our conscious astral projection exercises. When we spend the day in a state of concentration, practicing self-observation and psychological death, then at night that same focus will continue. It will be much easier for us to remain conscious as we transition into the astral plane. But if we spend our day wandering, distracted and unfocused, then at night we'll continue in the same distracted state, merely dreaming without awareness. With that said, let's now move on to the next point in this conference: relaxation. What is relaxation? Relaxation is the absence of tension, whether physical, emotional, mental, or sexual. In fact, the natural state of consciousness is relaxation. Consciousness unfolds more and more deeply as we relax. That's why the ego constantly seeks to keep us in a state of tension, because only through tension can it stay rooted in the physical body, feeding off our energy. That's why it's essential to observe what triggers tension in us throughout the day. Some common sources of tension include the countless desires that arise moment to moment, negative emotions, psychological songs, mental repetitions of complaints, self-pity, etc., all the mistaken internal states we fall into, the flood of thoughts that overwhelm and pressure the mind, worries which create deep inner strain, the constant inner chatter, the inner conflict between different I's, especially in moments of indecision. We must learn to observe ourselves and recognize just how much of our day we spend in a state of tension. When we become aware of this, we also begin to see how it harms our body and depletes our energy. This is why we often reach the end of the day completely exhausted, because we've carried tension with us from morning to night. It's crucial to learn how to notice when we are tense and to cultivate the ability to relax. So then, how can we remain in a state of constant relaxation? The first step is always self-observation. Only through observing ourselves can we identify the psychological defect that is causing the tension we feel. The second step is to understand how that defect is unnecessarily draining our energy and causing harm. With that understanding, we naturally recognize the need to eliminate it. And the third step is to make an inner plea to our Divine Mother, the loving force of our consciousness, to disintegrate that particular defect. Mentally, we beg her, "My Mother, destroy this defect for me." As we do this, we let go of the area in our body where the tension is being held. We can even visualize a fire directed at the tense area, burning away the defect and dissolving the tension completely. But it's important to remember, for the Divine Mother to act, we must first understand why we are tense. We need to observe what is behind the tension. Is it a worry, a discomfort, mental chatter, a desire, or something else? Once we've identified the cause, we ask for its disintegration and we free ourselves from that inner disturbance. And how do we know when we are truly relaxed? We are relaxed when all tension disappears and our inner state returns to balance. We feel at ease, and we can focus fully on what we are doing. Now, I'd like to share with you a very important practice that will help you strengthen your ability to concentrate. This practice is called watching and praying, and it can be done daily, at least 20 minutes a day, to begin training ourselves to remain both focused and relaxed. Watching means doing everything with awareness and concentration. Praying means asking our Divine Mother to eliminate every psychological defect that arises and interferes with our concentration. It is also the sincere yearning to be, the practice of self-remembering. Let's go through the steps of this practice. First, if you're in an appropriate space, begin with the Belilin and Magic Circle, as we learned in Lecture 7. Then, make a heartfelt request for help from your inner Father and Divine Mother, asking them to assist you in the practice. Next, begin by relaxing your physical body, making sure every part of it is comfortable and at ease. Once the body is relaxed, Focus your attention on your heart, listening and observing your inner world. As you do this, you'll notice various psychological defects trying to distract you, prompting thoughts, emotions, impulses to move, and so on. For each one you observe, ask your Divine Mother to disintegrate it. Simply make the request, and then gently return your focus to your heart. You can repeat this process as many times as needed until you achieve a stable and clear state of concentration. That's all there is to it. It's a simple yet powerful exercise. You can practice it any time, and you'll begin to notice how your ability to concentrate improves and how your self-remembering becomes sharper and more constant. And with that, we conclude today's topic. Thank you so much for your attention, and remember, you are welcome to share with us any questions you may have. I warmly invite you to join us for the next topic, where we will be exploring the subject of meditation. In that conference, we'll gain a clear understanding of what meditation truly is and what it's for. We'll also explore the different types of meditation, and we'll learn a powerful technique known as reflective meditation, a method that can lead to profound transformation in both our psychology and our daily life. Thank you so much for your presence and attention. Until next time.